Okay folks, I'm ready to start a new project, and what I've chosen is this little critter from a company called Kotobukiya or Kotobukiya, whichever way they pronounce it. It's from the Zoid series out of Japan, called Shadow Fox. They have a bunch of different little animals, that little mechanized critters from anime series. Very neat, very similar to Gundam, where they assemble. But they are different enough that it's going to make a different experience. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a look at the stuff in the box, and there's all kinds of parts. I've already actually taken a few of the parts out. I'm going to go through the instructions, study them very carefully, because they show quite a bit of complicated construction, all the little parts and stuff, so you got to get it exactly correct. Now these are made that they're molded in color, so you can build it without needing to paint them, but unfortunately they will look kind of plasticky in my opinion. Plus I want to weather this, so being a guy who does a lot of armor, we're gonna do this up pretty weathered. So anyways, so I figured what I'm going to do is, since some of the parts, if I assembled it and then primed it in one color and then try to paint it once it's done, it was going to be very difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the parts on the sprue runners. So I'm going to pick, I've already picked a few colors to match these colors. I'm going to airbrush all these in those colors. Then as I clip the pieces off, there will be a little spot where the runner attaches, where the paint won't get. So I'm going to touch that up as I build. So it's going to take a little extra time on each part to just tap each area that I cut and make the mar. Most of them hopefully won't be seen, but I'm going to take precautions to do that. So therefore I'm not going to mix any paints. I have decided to use a set of colors, and grab them here. These ones here, closely matching the colors of the model. Now I could change that if I wanted to, make a different color of this Shadow Fox, red or whatever, but I like what it looks like. So for example, the blue parts look kind of like a carbon fiber color. They're actually a deep blue. So I'm actually going to use the Tamiya XF17 Sea Blue for those parts. For the metallic parts, the dark metallic, I'm going to actually use the Tamiya Metallic Gray, XF56 paint there. And for the silver parts, I think I might actually just use a dark gray, kind of a medium gray. This is XF24 dark gray. That way the weathering will actually look a little bit better, plus it'll look a little more tarnished. Some parts I might touch with the this reddish brown, flat brown XF10. And then I've also got a couple dark colors, the Tamiya Dark Iron and NATO Black, XF69 and XF84. Might vary the color of the blue in certain areas. So I'm going to go through and leave all the parts on the sprue, spray those the colors I want, and then like I said, I'm not going to mix. That way if I have to touch up, I can take it straight out of the bottle and it'll match. So I will go ahead and get to airbrushing those and move to the next step. Okay, I'm ready to airbrush the parts in the chosen colors, and for this I'm going to use my Iwata trigger brush, which I like to use for base coats, because I don't have to be too precise about this until I get into the weathering. I'm going to mix my paint in a color cup first. I don't want to add it straight to the brush and then put thinner in the brush. I just want to make sure it mixes well. So I've got the dark sea blue, and you might be able to see that the paint is actually separated like Tamiya usually does, which is fine, just needs to be mixed. I use an electric mixer. This thing works great. So what I do is I put this in there, and so you can see it here. Get it all mixed. Just be sure not to pull this thing out while it's spinning, or you'll splatter it all over the place. But get it good and mixed. Don't leave it in a long time because it'll start to thicken. So, and the nice thing about using this is I can just take my Tamiya thinner and just put the wand in there and spin it self-clean. Okay. Let's clean that off. Just wipe it clean. We should be ready to go. Okay, so for the thinner that I'm going to use, I can use just Tamiya thinner, which works great. But I found this stuff from England, from VMS. It's actually a leveling thinner. And this stuff actually seems to level out a little bit better and mix a little better with the paint. So we're going to use that. So we're going to use, let's do 1 dropper full of paint. 2 dropper fulls of paint. And then we will use a dropper to put in 1. Let's see, let's use the same one here. This is 1 dropper full of the thinner. Okay. We'll mix that up. Get a good mix. So you can see that thinner really blends well with the Tamiya paints. So we will prep the airbrush, plug it into the compressor, and do some shooting. Almost forgot, one thing I always like to do whenever I open up a new bottle of paint is I like to put some BB shakers in there. These are from AK, stainless steel. Kind of hard to find stainless steel in small amounts, so it's good that they sell these. If you use copper ones, they will tend to change your paint as they corrode, so these won't corrode. I drop 3 BBs in there. That way next time I shake it up, I'm going to have some stuff ready to go. And what I'll do is I'll mark it that I put BBs in it. That way I don't constantly put extra BBs in there. So that'll help me down the road. Okay, as I usually do, I pre-shot some lacquer thinner through here to clean it out. Even though I cleaned it before I hung it up, it does tend to still have paint in it. So I put some lacquer thinner there and sprayed it clear, made sure it was spraying right before putting the paint in. So we're just going to pour the paint into the cup. Been pre-mixed. And then I've got a little pad of paper here to test my spray. And we need a little more air pressure. There we go. Now we're looking a little bit better. So now we're ready to paint. Okay, I normally will be using a mask, a respirator for this to paint this thing right here. 3M makes a real good one. Doesn't get in the way, but I of course can't talk while I'm doing that. So let me leave that off, and then I will also leave off the air ventilator on my spray booth here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start spraying each part from every angle. Good wide spray, not worried about being real neat about it, just as long as it doesn't build up too much. Just getting it from every angle. And then we'll inspect it after we get them all done and make sure I didn't miss any places and go back in if I did. So we'll get all the parts sprayed with all the different colors in the same manner.